the Champions League for the final best-of-3 series for tonight, and it's game number 1 between Team WE and OMG. As we take a look at the bans really quickly, Thresh, Twisted Fate, and Azir actually being banned out here by Team WE, as Kidron and Nidalee, the 2 S-tier junglers, are being taken away by OMG immediately.
I think this says so much to where the teams are exploitable and where the teams are, where the teams are strong. The fact that you have 2 bans on Cool and then 2 bans on Condi pretty much says everything you need to know about these teams.
I also like that because it fits in line with what you mentioned about World 60. You know, he's known as the Gragas, the Rek'Sai player. Take away those S-tier junglers. Those are the kind of junglers you're going to get remaining in the pool. But immediately, Lucian is going to be locked in for Team WE. They're going to be giving that one over to Mystic, one of the stronger AD carries in the current meta.
It's so weird how just Scariel is similar, Smelzy and Mystic are. They just kind of sit right below that Deft, Imp, Uzi tier. And so it's just trying to get them to peak a little bit more into it.
Well, let's see if they can do that over the course of Summer Split of the LPL here. As we're waiting for OG to lock in their first 2 picks on their first rotation of picks on the red side. Would be quite sensible if they went with this Rek'Sai pickup, knowing that World 6, you know, is comfortable with that champion. They are going to lock that in. They lock in the Bard as well, so giving that one over to 5.
Pretty ridiculous win rate on Bard, and we've seen a lot of LPL supports really stepping up and making this a considerable ban here. His lane dominance, which LPL teams love to go into the 2v2 because they think they can mechanically outperform their enemy. His ability to open up picks.
And we saw how Mata played him so well last game. And 5, he's known as the playmaking support for the lineup. He used to play a lot of Alistar, a lot of Thresh. Bard kind of makes sense.
No, completely agree right there. On the opposite side, though, we have kind of an interesting dual pickup in the Maokai and the Trundle. So obviously on 6.10 with the adjustments to QSS, Trundle has just been buffed up. Being picked up in this rotation, though, pretty much means that it's going to be a support Trundle into a Bard. A little bit curious.
I was going to try and predict this Fizz pick here and look a little bit cheeky because we saw the Ignite and Teleport summoner spells being picked up by Xiang, which could almost only mean is going to be picking up Fizz into the top lane, which gets locked in immediately as Caitlyn is going to be their AD carry of choice. We see a lot of Caitlyn's MSI across multiple regions.
And MLSC, wow, completely, I almost called him STYZ. MLSC is a legacy Caitlyn player. So, like Uzi, fits right in his repertoire, his identity, and these teams are going quick and fast in this draft phase.
Yep, Victor and Graves being locked in immediately for Team WE, completing their lineup. So it does look like we're going to get a support Trundle, top lane Maokai,
Why
and
I
Graves
find
in the jungle.
this strange is that you see that you have a ranged support, and obviously Bard's going to really bully out melee supports. Now Trundle can kind of catch him with the pillar if it's placed correctly, and you can jump out on top of him for trades with Relentless Pursuit. But it kind of tells me that Team WE are just going to play their bot lane safe or even look for a lane swap.
Well, let's see what they decide to do as we get into the Summer Swift later on. But for now, OMG looking to try and pick up their mid laner, and it's going to be LeBlanc picked up, a mid laner that we actually see constantly banned out in the LPL right now. And Cool is going to get his chance to go toe-to-toe against Sia with this assassin that has been left open.
And this is kind of the mentality here is to slow Victor down, simply just try to beat him in the early game before he can ramp up into that big 5v5 monster. Now, Cool definitely has the talent and threats to be able to do that, but Xie has definitely been developing himself into quite the mid laner.
He certainly has, and this was a matchup that we highlighted coming into this game. Sia against Cool. One is now going to be on the control mage, the other is going to be on the assassin, and another champion that really stands out to me, Fizz. You know, we didn't really think we'd see a lot of Fizz up in the top lane, but it's been a pretty popular pick in the LPL.
And it's more importantly that tank Fizz there, so looking for the MR armor as well as the CDR, because it will translate into tanks, not tank stats, but pseudo-tankiness for Fizz, just because he's spending more time on his Playful Trickster in the air and untargetable, as opposed to taking damage.
Excited to see how this matchup goes, because we see a lot of Maokais get bullied out by some unorthodox matches, but the coaches are going to shake hands. We're heading onto Summoner's Rift for Game 1 between Team WE and OMG. Cool, trying to be as cool as he possibly can be there as we head on to Summoners Rift for game number 1 of the final best of 3 series for tonight. It'll be Team WE taking on OMG. For now, we're just going to see the two teams fan out as much as they possibly can, try and pick up some vision, it would seem. Very common between all the teams so far.
Naturally, the question is if we get a lane swap or a 2v2. I don't think we've had a single lane swap all night, though.
Nope, I don't think so.
There was one attempted by LGD.
I think it was matched, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, Australian lanes and regular lanes we've seen so far. But
Should be pointed out that Xiong took the Ignite on the Fizz, so really relying on his ability of Playful Trickster to keep him safe in that long lane against the likes of Maokai. Maybe a little bit risky. So much kill pressure available for Condi on this Graves and either his side lanes.
We take a look at the Keystone Masteries very quickly. Nothing too surprising. Fizz, taking further of battle. We've seen that a little bit recently. No Grass in the Undying or Thunderlords coming out from the top lane. Tanky Fizz.
I think it started with Flandre.
It's all his fault.
No, I'm going to assume. But no, going to be a standard start, so both junglers... Ooh, actually, nope, lane swap. So, opting out of the Bard Caitlyn lane, which I agree with. Very oppressive 2v2. In fact, they're going to make the most out of Bard's level 1 power spike and look for the invade. Of course, they won't find anyone because Mystic and Zero are on the top side.
Let's still go for it, which means that we will get that lane swap coming in. It will be initiated by Team WE, so we have to see how they execute this strategy. 0 and 957 actually going to be working on a camp of their own, so the support helping out the top laner to get that early experience advantage, denying some of the jungle away from OMG as well.
Yeah, I was thinking about how curious that is. We'll see where Maokai 957 is going to go with it afterwards. Looks like he's just going to go ahead and meet up with Condi, so now going into a traditional start. Nope. He's going up top lane. He's going to assist in setting up these waves.
So
quite early.
957 helping with the push very, very early on here. Zero going to be helping out with that too. Cool and Sia in the mid lane already trending back and forth pretty effectively for Sia there. Every time Cool jumps in, he gets a nice chunk with his spell rotation auto attacks down.
Taking the Crow Cap, it's a nice little adaptation on how the experience has changed. So now you have to kill the creeps, which means it's a bit more micro-intensive when you're double jungling, making sure that your top laner is killing the appropriate creeps to make sure that you're splitting experience as opposed to being in the area. So cute little maneuver from Team WE as we now kind of go back into a more traditional Western-style lane swap.
World 6 is actually going to make his way towards this mid lane, it seems. Opting to not go for the Raptor camp just yet. Going to see if he can get a surprise gank. Now it's going to move back towards the red buff and take that one away. We see the junglers swapping red buffs. World 6 will take Condis. Condis will take World 6. Whilst OG, Sion, 5, and SMLZ will be down in that bottom lane pushing onto that tower. And Team W will already be able to take down the top lane outer turret.
And they're not giving over the bonus to their top laner, 957. It's actually split between them. So that is something unique that Team WE like to do. They typically do it when Mystic is on Ezreal, though, so this time around on Lucian.
Interesting.
Much faster tower rotation. It's really just kind of these, 5 to 10 second windows where teams can set up maybe a gank or, in the past, challenge the Rift Herald. Obviously, Herald being changed doesn't spawn until 6 minutes this time around, but we'll see if Team WE get any sort of advantage here from having a faster clear initially.
For now, though, it does look like they're just going to swap back here. Mystic now might be in a little bit of trouble. There's so many people OMG just waiting there. He might be able to pick up the small Krug, and that's about it. He might walk straight past him. He's going to get caught out here. Mystic now going to get jumped on. The knockup should come out shortly. Good flash come here. He tries to relay pursuit out of there. The heal comes in well, keeps himself alive. He somehow is able to get out of there.
Brilliantly played from Mystic right there, making sure that he holds his flash to try to get away from the Unburrow and holds his relentless pursuit. So using his 2 gap closers perfectly to save his life.
He's able to get out there. Still burns both of his summoner spells and has to make another trip back to the fountain to heal up. Picks up a coal when he went back to base there, so he's had a little bit of an item discrepancy to Caitlyn, who already has that pickaxe at the moment.
Biggest discrepancy on the map, though, is between these 2 top laners, not only in the level 4 to level 3 for 957, but also in the CS, 17 to 6. And it's about to get a lot worse for Fizz here, as he's going to be facing across from 2 people on a very long lane.
Huge discrepancy. Cool, in the meantime here, trying to do his best to farm out the waves in the mid lane here, taking a lot of damage one more time from Sia. He's able to keep up CS quite nicely, though, despite all the harass coming out from him.
See if Cool can start to make this LeBlanc pick work for him. In the past, has done wonders on this champion. He's a big assassin player. Likes his high mobility mages as well. Again, signature Ahri.
For now, though, we are going to see the continuation of the lane swap here. The AD carrying support for OG going to head up towards the top lane, it seems. Team W going to replicate that down in the bottom lane.
Still, primary benefactor so far in this lane swap is Team WE having the advantage on their top laner, 20-7 CS. Like you said, both top laners will be joining the bot lane, so gentleman's agreement between two teams. We're going to kill the outer towers and start creating really long side lanes.
OMG now already working on the top lane outer turret. We've got 4 members up here, going to wait for the next creep wave to crash towards that tower before trying to take that down. Seyoung's here as well, going to poke his carrots in towards the turret, take it down as fast as possible. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Team W, they've got 3 people working on taking down this turret. No, the jungler is nowhere in sight just yet, as Condi casually now makes his way down there after taking a camp for himself.
So now it's a 4-man push on either side. That said, it does mean that Dragon Control is in favor of Team WE as Chaos Storm dropped in the mid lane simply to push Cool or attempt to push Cool out of lane.
Takes a lot of damage from that Chaos Storm there. Sia took a lot in return from the harass that Cool put down during that initial trade. Was able to smartly trade back and forth with this LeBlanc.
And this is kind of the big thing that I was talking about. I was curious if Team W were going to pull the trigger on it early, but it will be a very early Infernal Drake. Again, they've just been slightly ahead of OMG in terms of taking down these side towers, and that collective time has eked them out this type of advantage, which Infernal Drake early, yeah, it's not going to be that much because it's scaling stats, but at some point, 3 to 4 item breakpoints, it's going to be a determining factor.
No response for that objective coming out from OMG so far. So the next dragon to spawn will be the Ocean Dragon. So no stacking Infernals, unlucky for Team W, but they do have one for now. They can continue controlling the dragon objective, will help them out later on in the game as well.
More importantly, taking a dragon this early means that you will have 5 spawns of the dragon before Elder Dragon if you're taking it every single time that it comes up. The chance of getting 3 Infernal Drakes out of 5 spawns is about 37%, so relatively high.
Well, let's see if TW do get the luck of the spawns later. We did get the luck of the spawn early on the desk here today. For now, we're looking at World 6. He's going to be clearing out as many jungle camps as he possibly can. Frostgrim finally got it.
No, I got it. Good joke, Fish.
Mystic moving up towards the top lane now. He's going to be trying to clear out the waves. Cool, still stuck in this mid lane for now. Quite even with Sia in the mid lane.
So checking back in on the lanes. Ooh, Dirk for Lucian, Pickaxe for Caitlyn.
Negatron Cloak for the Victor. Yeah, quite pretty standard for now.
Swifties, though, online for the top laner, so 957 making sure that he's constantly shadowing behind his bot lane.
He wants to go fast.
And this is, again, kind of the big difference between these two teams. Xiong is approaching this tower by himself. The potential dive threat here is massive, so does need to make sure that before he approaches this, that 5 is next to him. So there we go, has his buddy system, and they're going in.
5 is there. Mystic actually getting separated from the team. A good pillar's going to stop the advance coming in for the Fizz there, but Mystic has to be careful. Here comes Cool. Puts a lot of damage down to the Lucian. It's going to be Xiong that moves into the backlines. Lucian will die to that ignite slowly. Meanwhile, Bard taking a lot of damage, is able to get out of there though as TWE group up, tries to defend the rest of their members, but a big misplay coming from Mystic.
Yeah, miscalculated, exits out of that the wrong way, going around the tower, and good collapse from OMG as now they're contesting for the red buff. Goes to Condi.
Condi picks it up, looking for more. He has 5, will be able to take the magical journey to safety. The rest of OMG able to run away, but Condi does secure the objective.
And more importantly, meanwhile, SMLZ has been getting good chip damage on the bottom tier tower and is now moving up to contest for this red buff.
It's like, if you want to take my red buff, Condi, I will take yours. Going to use the headshot procs from inside of the bush to get as much damage as possible down onto the red buff camp, but despite all the action taking place, still completely even between these two teams at the moment. About a small gold lead for OMG at the moment.
Yeah, and it was a lot of momentum was built up for Team W, you know, making the proactive play onto the inner turrets. Unfortunately, just punished due to poor positioning from the AD carry.
Going to pop back in towards the mid lane, and that is another place that is dead even at the moment between these two players. Both of them had a blue buff there. Time and time again, though, Sia's going to win those trades. Is able to poke the LeBlanc out, but not getting a huge lead from it.
I think it's more so the safety of wave clear issue as Lucian, as Victor gets more levels, starts upgrading his Hex Core more, it's going to be easy to clear out these waves, whereas LeBlanc has to put her whole face in it to do so safely. We do have the MR itemized early, so it should be a little bit safer here.
Should help CAL. We have to see if he's going to go for an Abyssal Scepter later, or just hold on to that as he goes for the Riley instead. But now he's going to get jumped on here. Cool. Going to be able to jump in here. Here comes 5 rolls. Going to slow CA down. He's taking a lot of damage. Pops the barrier, but it's not going to be enough as World 6 picks up that kill for Team OMG.
Great collapse there. And good setup from Cool. Unfortunately, again, another kind of micro error coming out of Team WE members, missing the big laser and the trade damage there and then putting himself in a poor situation.
OMG now, they're looking to try and put their aggression on here as they look towards the top lane inner turret, putting a little bit of damage down on that with SMLZ, but Condi's going to use his ultimate to clear away that creep wave, stop any push that they had up in the top lane.
Meanwhile, on the other side, does mean that Mystic will get some free time with this tower, so OMG stopped Team WE's early momentum, now are being proactive themselves, good gank on the mid tower, translated that into pressure onto the bottom side. Both these teams very evenly set so far.
Certainly are. And this is all started from the lane swap that was initiated by Team WE. They didn't want to go into the Caitlyn Bard lane. It seems that, you know, slightly behind, but they haven't fallen behind too much just yet.
No, not yet. We also do have the completed double AD items from Caitlyn, so moving SMLZ into this mid lane makes sense. We're starting to unlock her, get into the siege. Might be a little bit too early as a pause.
Unfortunately, having a little bit of technical difficulties here, but hopefully we can get them sorted out as soon as possible. But this game, you know, just been a lane swap between these two teams. Nothing too much happening just yet. What can we expect from these two teams moving on forward?
Taking a look at comps right now. I mean, both of them have late game scaling options, and Victor in any type of choke point. AoE damage, Caitlyn's going to be fine as long as she gets past that, 20 to 25 minute mark. I think the question mark really sits on LeBlanc right now, so we did have an initial early gank on the mid lane that swung power that way, and if Cool can continue to unlock himself and get that snowball going, because she needs to perform early so she can be a threat late.
And Cool is one of the players that we wanted to look at coming to this game, especially up against Sia here. A very crucial matchup. The entire time in that mid lane, it seems like Sia's the one that's coming out ahead in these trades, always to do well on that Victor, always able to pull out ahead, but that gank completely turned things around just like you mentioned.
I have to disagree slightly. Definitely Victor is going to be much safer and just kind of standing back and clearing waves, but if you actually look at the actual trades, Cool was certainly bullying Victor around, which is why we had the immediate response of, building that MR there to give him a lot more safety in the lane, but he is definitely victim to Cool right now. If Cool steps into Fog of War, Victor cannot walk over there for threat of LeBlanc just standing in a brush and waiting for him to walk by.
So is that the big thing that we're going to see coming up next? Cool, moving into Fog of War, trying to either bait Sia to move away, or him himself roaming out to try and help the other lanes?
It means that the mid lane is unlocked for OMG, and that, like you said, Cool can start to move around the map, and that forces Sia to sit there. But it's now, can you execute anything off of that? We saw Xiaohu attempting to do that last game, and yes, RNG won that series quite handedly, but it wasn't necessarily on successful ganks from the Victor, so making sure that Cool's ganks are meaningful and impactful around the map. But he does have that opportunity now where I can be freed up from my lane because I have the initial lead, and you can't follow me.
So let's pull it back to what's happened so far. We saw Team W, they initiated this lane swap. They put it off quite well, actually, able to pick up the free Dragon as well. They got the Infernal Drake at about 6 minutes into the game. And then there was a little bit of blunder coming from Mystic as well up in the top lane.
Yeah, and that was kind of the turning point really back for OMG, making sure that they took that advantage and then immediately rotated it into the mid lane for that cheeky gank on Xie here.
Well, we are back into Summoner's Rift, and Dragon will be spawning in about a minute's time here. Let's see TWE try to keep up with prioritizing their Dragon objective.
Tier 2 boots and penetration online for Cool right now, so has his Sorcerer's Shoes, so again, bit more kill threat against the MR, but more importantly, higher mobility so he can start moving around as Xie continuing to lose these trades.
That was just one proc of the W coming in as well. It's just the ultimate from the LeBlanc doing that damage. Didn't hit both. So, still a big threat coming into these next few fights. 15 seconds until the Dragon will be up and online. Team WE not quite in the position just yet to try and contest for this one, so looks like they're just going to let it stand and see whoever gets the positioning later on in the game.
And like you said, the big issue there is the mid lane, the fact that Cool forced Xie to back as the Dragon is spawning. We'll see if OMG can do anything with this window that they have. Doubt that it's going to be so.
Well, we have to see what happens. Moving on here is take a look at where the lanes stand for now. SML Z5, they're in the bottom lane just pushing it out wherever they possibly can. Lucian is going to be heading down there as soon as he possibly can as well. Trundle still back in base, but look at this. OMG World 6, he's going to be the one that starts on the Ocean Dragon here. 5 and SMLZ were making their way up, trying to get some damage down onto this Elemental Drake as well.
Yeah, and it's not going to be any sort of contention from Team WE. Ocean Drake now into Mountain Drake, which means that we know all 3 Drakes in the game. And guess what? It's the 3 valuable ones. So no Cloud Drake, unfortunately. Not going to run fast.
Dragon. Mountain Dragon coming up next. To see if Team WE try to prioritize that one, because that was just given over to Team OMG. So Team WE, no, not focusing on that at all. They just give it up. Happy with giving the Dragon over to OMG. Have to see if that comes back to bite them any time in the future. You're right, Fresco.
No, it's like there's someone talking in my ear. It's okay, it's sorted.
It's all good?
Yeah.
All right. We solved the problem, everyone.
Okay. So pressure being set up, it's now about identifying the next most important objective and who actually has the power to do it. So like we talked about, Caitlyn has the flat AD. Mm-hmm. She should be unlocked to attempt to siege. But that means in contesting smaller objectives like this, because it's still very early in the game, about 14 minutes, they don't manage to siege the red buff. But there we go. Cool. Leaving the mid lane, starting to eke into Team WE's jungle, and just skirmishing over these smaller things.
We already have a slight change in the itemization between Caitlyn's here. SMLZ opted to pick up the pickaxe and the BF sword instead of going for the Zeal right after the BF sword.
Oh, he's caught though.
Cool, drop behind that pillar here. Good pillar being put down by Zero, able to stop Cool from getting out of there. I believe he had to burn his flash to get over that
Yeah,
too.
very cute interaction right there to make sure that the pillar went down on the distortion, so when he tried to double distortion back, he just bounced off of it straight into Victor damage. So good maneuver there from Zero, and again, it's just this idea that OMG are continuously trying to cheat into the jungle and between lanes, contesting for Raptors, contesting for red buff, and then just trying to chip damage on Team WE and then translate that into the mid lane, but good response from Zero to negate all of that momentum, and we go back to passive farming.
Still dead even between these two teams as well. It's 23,000 gold apiece here. About 300 gold separating them, but it's negligible about 16 minutes into this game, especially 2 turrets apiece, a dragon each, an Infernal Dragon over to Team WE, an Ocean Dragon for OMG. The Mountain Dragon spawning in about 5 minutes as well. So, it's been very quiet as we see a lot of lane swap games go.
Yeah, it's been quiet, but I want to point your attention back to that top lane. So we talked about how 957 got the early game advantage, having 20 CS to pretty much 7. That's now been shored up as Team W will approach the Rift Herald here. Mm-hmm. Curious who the buff's going to go to. But more importantly, the itemization. The fact that Fizz has his MR available to him as well as his Sheen. So he's got a safety for his lane assignment as well as some damage. See if Xiang can start to pressure.
Well, the Rift Herald buff will be heading on over towards Team W. Have to see who is the one that takes it up. It's going to be Condi. So 2 series in a row, we see the Rift Herald buff being donated over towards the junglers here. Graves picking that one up. As Mystic moves up towards the top lane. Xian being a little bit cheeky, hiding inside the bush here. Pretty sure Mystic knows this is 957. The rest of TW are going to make their way up there. They're going to be able to take this tower.
OMG are looking for the flank, however, and Rek'Sai does have her ultimate available, so World 6 did reset his positioning on the map, isn't going to pull the trigger, and so OMG are just going to passively give that one away. In fact, SMLZ is not even going to contest for the bottom inner turret, and Victor is going to rotate to make sure that he thinks twice.
This means that Team WE, they have 3 towers to 2 now, but still dead even on gold. Not a fantastic position to be if you're Team WE, knowing that even though you have the extra structure, it's not putting you in the lead right now.
It's not a terrible position for them to be. Again, you're still waiting for your item breakpoints. Fact of the matter is that LeBlanc's still a big problem, which why they're taking full control of the mid lane here.
Well, maybe not when you miss all your abilities. It's not as cool. Whiffs everything there except for the Q. Mystic Even takes the Caitlyn ult to the face, but the culling is enough to push OMG off of the tower.
And it's just about making sure that your Victor is constantly across from any sort of siege potential from OMG. Again, the thing about Victor and Azir is that they do everything that you would ever want.
Yep.
As reverse siege now.
Coming out from Team W, they're looking to try and push down the mid lane outer turret. They're down to about half health now, so a couple more pushes will be able to take it down. As Sia, he's just up in his top lane, free farming here. You did mention he caught up in CS quite nicely against the Maokai. In fact, he's overtaken him. He's more than 10 CS up against the burning tree.
Yeah, and he's also got a wave pushing into him. I'm checking out the vision here from both of these teams. So, Team WE could look to continue to siege, effectively free farming inside lanes as we now trade cooldown here with the safety and mobility of LeBlanc versus the pushing power and chip damage from SMLZ and Bard in the mid lane. And both teams have wards to counteract any sort of flank, but they're all just kind of gentleman's agreement, like this is fine. We're just gonna farm. And this is like such Team WE. Like they're just the weirdest team in the LPL. They'll just do this where it's like, okay, this is fine. Let's just sit and farm. 55-minute game. I'm totally fine with that.
Yep. And then other games are like, no, we need to go home.
And so many other LPL teams are, we're going to this objective. We got a slight advantage here, so we're going to continue to gank this lane and push forward. And
TW, the hipsters of the LPL.
They just are consistent.
That's a good trait to have, though.
Yeah. Dragon going to be spawning, though, in 10 seconds. Again, it's going to be that Mountain Drake. We do not have the Black Cleaver done yet for Lucian, but we do have Hurricane for Caitlyn, so she's going to be doing far more AoE damage, and he doesn't have his initial 2-item power spike.
Morale become picked up by the LeBlanc as well. So big item pick up here, whereas the Victor only upgrading the Hex Core so far and sticking on his Negatron Cloak.
I don't think Team W would have to get a perfect fight or a massive Chaos Storm to safely do this, but because OMG moved into the area first and have control over vision, it's a risky situation, but it looks like we're going to contest it anyway. Again, Maokai and Victor, very good champions in these tight corridors.
They certainly are. Let's see if TW can make use of them effectively here as they're looking to try and fight. Zero puts down the pillar, separates a lot of members of OMG. Temper Fate goes down, locks down 3 members. Rek'Sai, OMG's World 6 will pick that one up as 957 goes down, but at what cost? 5, he's going down. Seoung's trying to dive into the backlines. He picks up 1 kill, but he goes down to Mystic here. Team W able to trade that 2 for 2.
In the end, though, OMG do manage to secure the Dragon, so good job there on World 6. This was kind of the questions that we had. It had to be a perfect team fight and how it was executed. Fortunately for Team WE and their fans, SMLZ was forced out relatively early. Check out that damage, though. Whew. Victor on those choke points on top of those objectives. Multiple lasers, huge Chaos Storm, means that the Dragon will be traded for outer mid tower.
And that's just with the Hex Core and the Negatron Cloak as well. Once he picks up a couple more items, Sia is going to be a force to be reckoned with as we get further and further into this game. But big fight from Team WE, able to trade 2 for 2 there. Possibly could have gotten more. World 6 escape with about 100 health in that fight too.
More importantly, it's keeping SMLZ in these fights as well and making sure that Cool's finding a priority target. So was still very capable for OMG, but good job recognizing that Team WE's composition is so strong in these effectively battle arenas.
5, one more time here on this Bard, showing that he is still that playmaker support. A big Temper Fate came up for him in that fight. Hopefully we'll see more from him as we get into more fights in the future. Baron, it's 21 minutes in this game, so Baron is up and online. Teams could definitely try and go for that at any point in time now, especially with Mountain Dragon over on the side of OG. Extra damage over towards Epic Monsters and turrets as well. World 6 here just, cheekily waiting up in the top lane on his Rek'Sai. Take a look at his items really quickly. He's got the Cinderhawk. Going to go for a Spirit Passage next, it seems, but he's been caught out, actually. Sia at 0 trying to take him down. World 6, he's a little bit too tanky for them, though. Bit of a little bit more than they could choose. Just going to be able to tunnel straight out there. Yeah,
I'm going to go ahead and skate off. Did you happen to check what the next dragon was, Fish?
Oh, I did not. No. So we don't know what the next dragon's going to be. Until we hover over the pit.
That's
eventually.
Fine. I'm sure our spectator will look at it eventually.
We'll get there. Slowly.
Wish there was some sort of indicator.
Usually.
Usually. We'll work on it. Objective that OMG want is outer mid. They can continue to apply pressure into this bottom side of the lane, which is why they're ganking 957, just because that was cute.
That was a great route, though, coming up from 957. Evades the rabbit. He's still going to take a lot of damage, though, as the rest of OMG moving down towards the bottom side of this map. There's no turret to protect him. He has to run all the way back to base if he wants to get to safety. That's not going to be possible, as the Fizz is just going to be able to jump straight in there.
And the thing that I wanted to comment on is the big reason why they can continue to apply pressure here is because it's so dangerous to move out of the mid lane to get down to assist Maokai without going the long way around. Simply because look at the vision control that OMG have placed, but again, more importantly, the fact that Cool is actually a threat on this LeBlanc, despite just being 0-0 and 3.
OMG picking up a nice lead for themselves. They're about 1,000 gold ahead of Team WE at this point in time. 2 dragons to 1, 3 turrets to 4, which means they have more standing gold for OMG to possibly take down. You mentioned, the mid lane out turret, something that OMG definitely want to try and take down in the near future.
They need to make use of the fact that they can 1-3-1 with their composition. Again, Caitlyn's in siege mode, but as long as Victor's across from her, it's still going to be a very long and tedious process. Take advantage of the fact that you have a Fizz, that you have a LeBlanc, that you can throw them out into these side lanes and really mess with Team WE's lane assignments.
5 taking a lot of damage here. Has to use the magical journey to get to safety.
Do manage to get the blue buff, though, I believe.
Looks like it went over towards Cool. He does have a blue buff. I don't see anyone on the side of TW that has a blue.
So mission accomplished, and that's exactly what they're doing, is now returning to these waves, resetting them and saying, okay, LeBlanc Fizz, out to the side lanes. Start winning passively, and we'll see if we can transition that into any sort of structure.
Taking a look at the items really quickly. Infinity Edge picked up by Caitlyn, as well as the Runan's Hurricane. The mid lane, LeBlanc already has the Omicron and the Abyssal Scepter picked up. The flip side, Victor, got a big up item power spike here. He's picked up the Rylai's Crystal Scepter.
I mean, that makes use when they're fighting over these dragons like they did in 1 minute 30. They still lost the dragon, but, came out fairly even or ahead on the team fight, transitioning that into a tower. But these big windows between these objectives, OMG are just getting further and further ahead.
Another big spike for Team W. Is this going to scream Mystic? He's got his Black Cleaver and his Yomu's Ghostblade. So that's going to be a huge spike for the Lucian. Also helps out with the damage that Condi will be dealing in the future team fights.
Still very scary for this Lucian to be out in a lane across from a Fizz or a LeBlanc.
Yep.
At some point, 957 may not be able to slow them down either.
It's going to be a minute until Dragon spawns here. OG already setting up some nice vision around that pit, trying to clear out whatever it was they can find from Team WE. Team WE still being funneled deeper and deeper towards their base, so can't quite do anything just yet. As Cool jumps in, lots of damage down onto Mystic.
And the chip damage continues on the tower. As unfortunate backs, they will get in time for the Dragon should they want to contest it, but this is the issue.
957 gets caught out one more time there. Not going to get locked down, though. He's able to flash away.
Team WE need to pull the trigger on a hard engage. They need to commit to one side of the map and hopefully do it fast enough that they don't lose any structures in the process. But
That's
getting
so
poked
damage.
out and run around the map like this, they're just going to lose everything.
It almost feels like they need the Maokai wherever this LeBlanc is to try and catch Cool out when he does that double distort, but TW just taking damage over time here. The Dragon's going to spawn in about 5 seconds. LG have control over the pit. They could definitely go to try and pick that one up.
They can just allocate their resources appropriately, send 2 people to take care of the Dragon, as well as keep the remainder of Team WE locked up in this mid lane, continuing to chip.
That's exactly what they're going to do. One more time, Mystic just takes the full LeBlanc combo to the face. A couple more spells would have mean that Lucian's going down, and Cool really putting on a lot of pressure with this LeBlanc.
That is going to be double Ocean Dragon there, and Infernal's going to be the next one to spawn for OMG. So a lot of free regen given, and as Spawn likes to say, that means almost 100% uptime for the jungler to remain on Summoner's Rift.
2,000 gold lead almost for OMG at this point in time. TWE just sitting ducks whenever Cool was trying to pressure this turret. He just jumps in, gets a double distortion out, takes so much damage. Here we go. Condi's trying to jump into the backlines. Trundle trying to get a wraparound. Pops the ultimate down onto World 6. The clone from Luck will get taken down. But here comes a full-fledged fly. Great ultimate coming out from Bard, trying to lock down as many members as possible. OMG getting taken down. Condi's in the backlines. He takes out SMLZ. Now Cool, he's going to be in a little bit of trouble here. Takes a lot of damage, but OMG slowly losing this team fight. There's a double kill going on over towards Condi, and what a clean fight coming from Team WE.
And that's what Team WE needed about 2 minutes ago. They finally pulled the trigger on it, get the Maokai involved, and look for the big 5v5. That's where their composition thrives. OMG tried to keep them spread out in the 1-3-1, and will look to contest this Baron.
TWE looking to try and take this one down. Xiang now trying to get in towards that pit. Cool. He's immediately exhausted as soon as he gets over the wall there. The Fizz is trying to do his best. Mystic jumps out, is able to take down Cool. The Baron is getting low, but it gets smited away. It's going to be taken down by Condi, and they secure the delayed ace with a double kill going on over towards Mystic.
And instantaneously, Team W are in the driver's seat. We're going to go ahead and see the replay. Again, check out the teleport timings. Maokai, gets the initial teleport and is in perfect position on top of so many members, followed by a beautiful tempered fade. That's unfortunate. I say beautiful tempered fade because I'm assuming that it's Team WE's Bard. It was OMG's Bard. So unfortunate for WE. Or, excuse me, OMG. And then from there, it's just the 5v5 composition running them over.
And they split OMG right down the middle right there. They had
Unlucky.
Cool moving down the middle. It was unlucky for them. Condi was just in the back line.
I was like, oh, that's a great tempered fate from Team W. Oh, God, it's OMG support.
Yep, not good. And
Not
just
good.
like that, TW swung this game in their favor. They're 3,000 gold up ahead of OMG.
But this is such classic Team WE. It's just this really weird, it's like a train. And it gets going kind of slow, but once it has its momentum, it just crashes over.
And that sounds like a metaphor from OMG.
That also sounds like an awful train, to be honest. Here we go.
Mystic, he's going to get chunked out as soon as this fight starts. Fizz is going to pick up that kill immediately. They take the turret down, but look at this. Maokai, he's already gone. Rek'Sai's the only one to fall for OMG here, but Condi, he's dealing so much damage. Bard's going to get taken down. Double kill coming out for the Victor here, and still triple kill for this Victor. Team WE still pick up this fight.
Only 2 of them survive, so technically it's a worthwhile trade, but they get the tower and no one can come near the AoE damage that Victor and Graves are putting out. As long as they stand next to each other, it's... Hold on, here comes Cool.
Cool's going to see what he can do. But for now, Team WE just going to back away.
Okay, so the issue is that Cool is not getting the correct targets. He needs to delete Xie on this Victor, which you see them on your screen right now. Cool's like, got it, need to get that guy. Unfortunately, if Condi's standing right next to him, but not directly on top of him, and he's not able to connect with double distortion damage, he can't go anywhere near him. It's kind of like that threat zone where Cassiopeia and Vayne are often seen together on comps, just because if Vayne stands next to Cassie, it pretty much guarantees her safety. Similar principle happening right now.
We saw that in that team fight there. Team WE, though, they're still able to take down the turret. They're now about 4,000 gold lead. Look at the damage coming out there from the Victor. Lucian did nothing in that fight, and Team WE is still able to pull out even.
Nothing is an understatement. He did 48 damage.
So nothing's an overstatement, because it's 48, you know, it's a bit more than nothing.
What did he hit?
Nothing. He was dead. He hit the tower a couple of times, you know, Cool just jumped in and said,
No,
"You're
I'm
dead."
actually concerned about how you would do 48 damage to champions this late in the game. He's got 3 items.
Put his W out somewhere.
That's what I'm saying. It's
Hit
like
Rek'Sai.
an Ardent Blaze. Surely it does more damage than that.
Hit Rek'Sai in the face, you know, all those tanky stats, reducing it. But yeah, now look at this. Wow, that's not good for Cool. Just Distortion's hit. This time the Maokai's there to stop him. WE pick up a kill.
This is why Maokai is kind of considered a soft answer to LeBlanc there, able to follow up on the Distortion as long as you have the damage to delete her, and he's continuing to go.
Temper Fate comes in. It's not going to be enough, though. Mystic already taking out SMLZ in the backlines. World 6, he's the next target here. TWE, they've broken the base. They're actually going to look towards the Nexus here, I feel.
And OMG looked like they were in total control for the good portion of this game, but it just takes a single team fight into a Baron and Team WE come alive, proving why they are the second best team in the LPL right now.
And then looking towards taking down this Nexus. First turret's going to fall down. Xiang at 5. Left to try and defend this one. It's not going to be enough. The culling onto 5. It's going to stop him from healing up in that base. Look at this Mystic. He's going to get jumped on here by Xiang. That's not going to be enough. Mystic takes him down. He's going to be able to work onto the Nexus turret as well. Nexus and the Nexus. And TW, they're going to pick up the first win in the best of 3 series against OMG.
Brilliantly played from Team WE. They're just this slow and steady wins the race, although that was one of the faster games that we've had, but it's just such in a bizarre way.
So break this down for me, Frosco, because talk a little bit about how, you know, Team WE, they're a bizarre team. OMG, they look like they were in the driver's seat for most of that mid-game.
They're a bizarre team in the context that so many other LPL teams love to be like really scrappy fighters. Like even look at new teams from LSPL like IME. They're really good at these like scrappy from behind fights. And Team WE are kind of like old school QG, where they fall behind early, but they just stop and control the bleeding, and they just beat you in a team fight or in a late game decision.
This was a team fight that looked good for OMG as well, where, you know, they took the Dragon down, they traded 2 for 2. They got a 2,000 gold lead for themselves, able to control the Dragon Pit and the objectives a lot better after this, but that still wasn't enough against Team WE.
They have a really good understanding about when they're strong and where their composition wants to fight. I think that's the easiest way to explain it. We talked about how, and this was finally when they decided to pull the trigger, the Maokai getting involved, and then the Tempered Fate pretty much just allowing Team WE to set up. So unfortunate for OMG there, but OMG were winning initially when they had LeBlanc and Fizz out to the side lanes and were kind of pulling Team WE around, continuing to siege and get chip damage with Caitlyn, and they needed to make sure that they were never put in a situation where Team WE could look for the full 5v5. You wanted them to pull the trigger possibly on a 4v5, get a good disengage, or keep Team WE chunked out so they could never do it, or at least trade a tower for that. But OMG baited into the 5v5 comp and lost big time.
And you know, Team WE, they're considered a team that it's all about teamwork, and that really showed here. Every time they're grouped up as 5, they know exactly what to do, when to do it. This is the fight where Lucian somehow did 48 damage, and that's it. Got taken down, but still turned out in Team WE's favor. They traded all the way down to 2 members left, took a turret for this as well.
It's just this idea that Team WE are made up of a collection of kind of B and A-rate LPL players, but when you put them together, it somehow becomes an S-tier team. That's the easiest way to say it, just magic.
Well, they were proving it here against OMG here. So Team WE able to keep their dreams in Game 1. We're going to go into a short break to see if they can continue to do the same in Game number 2. Don't go anywhere.